Welcome to the Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Kendra Grams, the pastor at First Presbyterian Church in Hudson, and today I'm happy to be back with a nonprofit partner to talk about the Family Resource Center St. Croix Valley. And so we welcome Neil Kline, their Development and Communications Manager, for this conversation. So we'll start with introductions. Neil, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the Family Resource Center.
You bet. Well, I live up in Polk County, up in Osceola, and have been actually with the Family Resource Center for a little over 4 months. And my running joke in most of my jobs is they haven't fired me yet, so it's still going really well. And I'm really enjoying working at the Family Resource Center. We serve St. Croix, Pierce, and Polk counties, and we'll have a chance here to get into kind of the work that we do. But broadly, what we do is work to support children and families, particularly in those early childhood years. And the whole goal is really to prevent child abuse and neglect, but also, we believe that parents are a child's first and best teacher, and parenting's hard. And when you have a kid, our joke, you can go to Walmart and you can buy a microwave and you get a pretty thick stack of instructions about how to work the microwave. And you have a baby and they kind of just give it to you and are like, Congratulations, we need this room for someone else, now's the time. To move along. And so we really want to be a resource for families in St. Croix, Pierce, and Polk County to help families with young children kind of, build the lives that they want to lead and help support children early in their lives, which is so important for later on in life when that kid grows up. A strong early childhood is such a foundational thing for people that we really are excited and honored to have the chance to work in that space.
Great. And how did the Family Resource Center come into being? Were there partners that came together to start this? Who are those partners? Are they still with you?
Yeah, so it actually was born out of a public health needs assessment, I believe is what it was called, back in the late 90s. So 1998, if I'm remembering my dates right, is when the Family Resource Center was founded. And it was initially founded to serve St. Croix County. And then in that time, the center got established over in Baldwin, we office out of Baldwin, and then I believe in 2005 it was expanded to include Polk and Pierce counties. So then we became the Family Resource Center St. Croix Valley. We maintain really close relationships with public health departments and human services departments in all of the counties we serve, because if you think about WIC or Birth to 3 or any of these kinds of programs, we're a nonprofit partner that can work with those families to provide services to folks. We can also be connected to families through hospitals. So we've got 4 partner hospitals that we work with in Osceola Medical Center, Amory Hospital and Clinic, Westfields in New Richmond, and then Western Wisconsin Health in Baldwin. And so we work really closely with them. So actually, if you have a baby at any one of those 4 hospitals, we visit you in the hospital. It's called a welcome baby visit. And the whole thing there is just to have an opportunity. You've got a 1-day-old. And sometimes what happens, our parent educators, we have a staff of 10 parent educators. And sometimes they'll walk into that hospital room and dad is there and the stroller's ready and grandma's flying in from Toledo or wherever, it's happening. Everything is there for that family. Those folks, they got it together, and if they need support, we're there for them. But in many cases, maybe they're fine, and that's great. Sometimes, though, one of our parent educators goes into a hospital room, and it's a young mother, and there's no car seat, there's no stroller, there's no family, dad's not there. Those are the kinds of folks who need resources and support, and our parent educators are then in a position to begin developing that relationship and to begin providing services so that if you need a car seat, we can get you a car seat. If you need diapers, we can get you hooked up with the diaper bank. If you need WIC, we can get you hooked up with WIC. Whatever it might be to help families. And you could be in a situation where mom and dad are in there, but they still need help. We're ready to do that. But it's about making sure that folks have access to those resources right from the start. And so those partnerships with hospitals, with counties are really important for our work.
Great, and that's a great intro then into how continuing services support families. So you have welcome baby visits, trying to make those initial connections. Then as families go home with their young ones, highlight for us some of the other ways you try to stay connected and provide support services.
Yeah, well the primary program that we run is a home visiting program. And in that program, one of our parent educators meets, ideally in the home, but can meet elsewhere with families twice a month. And the goal there is, there's a ton of stuff that goes on there, but really it's to make sure that as children age, or let's say it's child number 2, whatever it might be, that whatever's going on in that family, there's someone that family can look to for support and help. The other thing then that can happen there is our parent educators can screen for things. So your kid should be crawling right now, but they aren't. Let's think about that and work to connect you with services. Your kid should be reading or talking right now, but they aren't. So let's work to get you connected to services. So there's the phrase, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I think I got that right. There's that prevention aspect of this where we can catch things early and then make sure that those resources that exist elsewhere are brought to bear so that kid stays on time, is ready to go to school when it's time. That home visiting program is prenatal, so we can enroll families before children are born, all the way through kindergarten entry. And so that whole early childhood window, we're able to serve through that home visiting program. We have capacity right now to serve 90 families with our home visiting team. And so that is really the bread and butter of what the Family Resource Center does, is that home visiting piece. Our staff are spread out all over, so sometimes it's kind of funny. You come into our offices in Baldwin, it's kind of a ghost town. It's me and our business manager and our marketing assistant and office assistant, and otherwise it's kind of quiet in there. Well, it's because everyone's out in the community. They're visiting people in their homes. They're doing some of these group connections that we can talk about. So it's really about making sure that we're able to meet people where they are and provide the services that they need. And home visiting really is the foundation for that.
Yeah, and that's great. And the long-term relationship is awesome. I mean, with kids myself, I remember being like, is this normal? Is this, I mean, we've all heard the words developmentally appropriate, but then it's a big wide range. So it sounds like it's a great resource to have a conversation partner then that's with them over the long haul of those tender years where things are changing so fast. That it's hard to know what you should and shouldn't pay attention to in terms of how things are going and whatnot. So home visiting program, you also mentioned the group connections program. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that dovetails.
Yeah, so group connections are really a kind of a catch-all for a lot of additional programming that we do. So I'll give an example. One of our most popular programs is called Play and Learn. And Play and Learn is a free series of events that we host. We've got programming cycles. So in the winter, we host 8 Play and Learns. You sign up for all of them. And Play and Learns are designed to bring multiple families together. Because one of the challenges, especially if you've got kids, is like getting out of the house, 1. But then 2, meeting other people who are going through the same stuff, that you're going through. And so when we talk about group connections, a lot of it always ties back towards reducing isolation and making sure that people are connecting with each other, because humans need that. And so Play and Learn is an example. Kids come in, parents play with their kids for a while, so they get down on the ground and they're playing with the blocks or whatever it is. Then at Play and Learns, we also provide childcare. And so then parents can go off and have a group discussion and talk about parenting and talk about the challenges they may have before coming back into that play group again. And so that structure allows for the Family Resource Center to, again, screen for kids who maybe are of a certain age but aren't quite doing what normally they'd be doing. An opportunity for parents to just talk about like how much of a terrorist Timmy was, last week, or whatever it might be.
That moment of deep frustration.
Yeah, whatever it could be, to have an opportunity to talk about that with other parents is really important. And that model is replicated across a lot of stuff. So there's Play and Learn. Baby and Me is a class that's designed really for parents with babies. Very similar approach. How do we help you connect with your baby? How do you talk with other people who have a baby in the same age range? We know people who've made lifelong friends, through these programs because of the connections that they made there. Special events. So we've got a member of our team, multiple members of our team that organize special events. So for example, I think there was a daddy-daughter hair date or something. So an opportunity for fathers to come in and bring their children in or bring their daughters in and bond, do their hair, cook or whatever it might be. All of those programs are really designed to try and help bridge that divide. And there's one more that I want to mention. It's called Recovering Together Cafes. And these are a cafe model, essentially, is just folks come in and they talk. And the beautiful thing about the Recovering Together Cafe is that it's not just limited to folks who maybe are dealing with a drug addiction or something like that. You could be recovering from any number of things. It could be a divorce. It could be a death in the family. You know, it could just be you've been going through a kind of a depressed period and you want to recover out of it. And it's also then for the people who support that person, because it takes a whole family to heal from that kind of thing. And that is another great example of like the importance in our view of connecting people and making sure, one, then if there are resources you need, we know about them so we can get you connected to those. But you just also need people to talk to. And I think when you think about how isolated folks are these days, that is magnified for people with young children. And so to create spaces and opportunities for people to come out of their house, you know, if you think about Baby and Me, you just had a baby. There's postpartum depression, there's the period of purple crying. I mean, it's a hard run. Come talk to some folks about it. You know, join a class, connect and engage a little bit, meet some people who've got a kids that's around that age too. That can make a world of difference for folks.
Great. Well, so as a nonprofit, I'm sure that there's lots of fundraising and partners involved. So what are some of the ways you look to connect with funders or to draw in the wider community so those who are passionate and see the value in all that you do can support that?
Yeah. Well, one opportunity that we've got that if folks are interested, I'd encourage you to reach out to. We actually have what's called a Parent Advisory Council. And we really work to try, and then there are other programs that we offer that require community partners, you know, folks from the community to come in and be a partner in the program. Those volunteer opportunities are always there. And so we really encourage folks, if you're interested in that, reach out to us, because there's probably an opportunity to plug you in somewhere and kind of get you involved. So I think that's a really important piece. You're totally right, though. We don't run off pixie dust. And a staff of 14 takes money to maintain and run. One of the main fundraising things that we do for the wider community is actually called our Reach for the Stars Gala. And it's coming up on April 27th. It's going to be down in River Falls. We do a cake auction that I'm discovering is kind of Valley famous. Auction off cakes for thousands of dollars.
Wow.
So bring your friends and pool in and buy a cake. But there's silent auctions, there's raffles, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But those dollars are so important to us because a lot of, you know, we get grants that we apply for. There's sometimes state funding, and state funding is an important piece of much of, especially the child abuse and neglect prevention work and the home visiting work that we do. Those dollars require matching dollars. So in a lot of cases, raising what I will call kind of green money that is not tied to a particular thing, we can then deploy to make sure that we're able to maximize other dollars that we've been able to secure. And so that Reach for the Stars Gala is a really important opportunity for the community, for those who are interested to, you know, support the work that we're doing. I think this year the goal is to raise $90,000. So no pressure to make that happen. But I think it's one of those things where, you know, we are a community-based nonprofit and we really value the support we've received from the community. And a great example of that is actually we recently purchased and then renovated the office that we occupy in Baldwin. I don't remember the total number, but it was, I think, over $1 million worth of renovation work. And the support, the level of support that we received from the community was just remarkable. You know, people ready and willing to step up to help make that project become a reality and to give us a space. You know, we've been around for 20-something years, 23, 24 years, to give us a space where we can spend the next 23, 24, 25 years is a huge deal. And it really, we're so grateful for the level of community support that we have. And that Reach for the Stars Gala is a great opportunity for folks to come and participate.
Good to know. And if people want to know more about that, I assume you have a website?
Yes. So it's FRCSCV, Family Resource Center St. Croix Valley, just the acronym, .org. And that's where you can go to take a look at all of our programming and also get in touch with us. And then also follow us on Facebook, because we do a lot of posts about our programming. We do a lot of posts about the Reach for the Stars Gala. So all of that, Facebook is a really great place to stay up to date on what we're doing.
Yeah. So maybe wrap us up with a story or an example of the impact you have seen the services that the Family Resource Center provides. What's maybe one story, one example of how it's made a difference for one family?
Well, actually, this reminds me of something that happened at Reach for the Stars, actually. So one of the aspects of the program at Reach for the Stars is we have a family come and talk about, the role the Family Resource Center played in their lives. And a couple years ago, we had a family, I think they live in River Falls. This mom and dad who were struggling with, I believe it was a drug addiction, some kind of substance abuse challenge. And it was getting to the point where, I think the kids were kind of at risk. And there were starting to be conversations of what are we going to do, with the county and everything. And the Family Resource Center was a place that could provide mom and dad with the supports that they needed to rise to the occasion. And so just hearing their story, I mean, there is nothing more impactful than hearing a mom and dad talk about their challenges and then talk about how, learning about routine or learning about the period of purple crying or understanding, that a toddler is going to do that, whatever it might be. We do best when families are strong and when families can stay together. And no parent wakes up and says, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to screw over my kid. Nobody wakes up and does that. But people don't always know. And so to hear that story of someone, they want to do good, but they needed help to know how to do it, that's exactly what we're supposed to do. And so when you hear that story, you can replicate that with all of the families that we work with to varying degrees. But it's always the case that parents want to do well for their kids. And it's just difficult to do that sometimes, and to provide that resource and help, it makes it really easy to come to work every day, because you kind of end every meeting with like, well, it's for the kids, and that's not a bad gig if you can get it.
It's for the kids. So that website is a great place if people want to get involved and be supportive. I assume it sounds like you do a great job through those welcome baby visits, but if there's somebody out there that hears this and is like, oh, I have a toddler, I could use your services, I assume they can just reach out through the website as well.
Yes.
And give you guys a call.
Yep, we've got a referral form right on the website, so you can self-refer, and then we'll reach out and have a chat with you about what's going on and how we can be helpful.
Great. Well, thank you for all you're doing. It sounds like great growing programs with a long history and a long future ahead to continue growing. So thank you. And thanks to all your colleagues for their support of families and kids at that tender age.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you to all of you for giving time to learn about this important nonprofit supporting families and young children in our community. We hope you'll learn more by going to their website. And until we're together again, peace and wholeness be with you all.